Well, and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on today's show, what you're looking at here is basically a starter kit if you want to build your own EV car company. This is from the folks over at Williams Engineering. You may know Williams from their Williams Formula One team, but the engineering side of things not only does a lot of engineering for a lot of OEMs all over the planet, but a lot of other entities as well. And this has basically been their little pet project over the past several months, and this is known as the FW-EVX. What you're looking at here is a 480 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery setup with 343 miles of range, torque vectoring all-wheel drive system, and 652 brake horsepower. As this vehicle sits, it weighs as little as 955 kilograms or 2,105 pounds. Williams Engineering claims that if you build a top hat for this vehicle, which is basically inner car world speak for the bodywork of the automobile, if you were to put a bodywork much like the BMW M4, this vehicle could weigh as little as 1,750 kilograms or 3,858 pounds. I have to say, this is the perfect starter kit because all the hard parts and all the hard work has been done, and this vehicle will perform quite well. And if you have an EV startup company, you can hit the ground running. In fact, you just have to do all the fun stuff, which is all the design work as far as the body work and the interior work. In fact, if you're an automobile OEM and you are a company that doesn't have an EV footprint, this is the perfect opportunity for you to actually hit the ground running as well. I think this is pretty cool. Cannot wait to hear more performance numbers and whatnot about this machine. They're only going to build 100, and that's at least in the beginning, unless they actually get contracted out to build more. Next up on the list, basically what you're staring at is conception art, a rendering of the brand new hardcore version of Aston Martin and Red Bull's love child, known as the Valkyrie. I know, the hardcore version of the hardcore car. This is the Valkyrie AMR PRO. Basically what you get with this machine is everything is turned up to 11, if you will. 6.5 liter Cosworth Source V12 will get a big bump up in the power department. A lot of work was done in the aero. A lot of the niceties were stripped away to make this vehicle as light as possible. In fact, the brake system itself is upwards of the Formula One standards right now as well. They did shrink down the wheels on this vehicle, which is kind of strange, but that is so it can fit the Michelin Pilot LMP1 full racing slicks on all four corners. Did I mention this is a track-only vehicle, that they're only going to build 25? They're claiming the top speed is still around 250 miles an hour, and this vehicle could easily outpace, in proper hands, a modern-day Formula One car, which is hugely impressive. Cannot wait to see the production version of this machine, although it's not going to be a street car, if you will, being as a track-only option, but cannot wait to see it in the flesh. Hopefully as early as Geneva Motor Show, we may see a whole lot more about this particular machine. Next up on the list, well, Tesla shocked the world, which is surprising because Elon Musk can't keep his hat on anything. In fact, they were going to show off that brand new semi, which they did, the new EV semi, which I'm hearing a lot of rumors that Walmart may be very interested in owning several of those machines. But shocked the world entirely with this super sexy 2.0 version of the Tesla Roadster. The all-new Tesla Roadster they are claiming is going to have a 200 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery with 620 miles of range, all-wheel drive, 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds, with a top speed of over 250 miles an hour. It's a 2+2 seating arrangement, but I'm sure those back seats are probably pretty doggone cramped. And they're talking about a starting price of $200,000 unless you want the launch edition, which could cost you over $250,000. They're claiming they're going to start building this car in 2020, but if you know Tesla as well as I do, I think you might want to bump that back a couple of years. But I have to say, the thing looks amazing, and if half of these performance numbers are right, this thing's going to be a pretty serious piece of kit that I think a lot of people are going to want to own. Last story up on the list, well, it's the last race of the year for the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series. In fact, the last race of the year finished up just before the taping of this program. Huge congratulations to Martin Truex Jr. on his first ever Monster Energy Cup championship. The last farewell for Dale Earnhardt Jr. as this was his last race before he moves up into the commentary booth. He will have a race team next year as well that he's going to be running. But a big shocker happened Friday at the Miami Motor Speedway in Homestead, Florida. It involved this young lady, 35-year-old Illinois-born Danica Patrick, who actually was born not too very far from Motorcars HQ. This was a shocker to me that she will not be returning in 2018. And it basically all comes down to funding, which I find to be hugely impressive that she cannot come up with the funding to actually run for next year. Now, a little bit of the writing was on the wall, as her car was going to be replaced by another driver who is coming with funding as well. Now, Miss Patrick is not going to be done racing completely, but quite possibly 2018 will be the last time she suits up and puts on the helmet. She's had a pretty illustrious career, in fact, a very long career, probably one of the longest for any female racer in motorsport. I know that's a little sexist, but honest to goodness, this woman had the goods from the word go. She's definitely one of the most successful in her fields, the racing that she has done. Probably not the most successful, because you know what? There's an amazing racing series right now that just crowned a female champion. So she's definitely not the most successful female racer, even though her career has spanned for several years. And several starts in two major series, including the IndyCar series, where she ran 115 starts with a top points finish of 5th, and one race win that was with the Twin Ring Motegi race in Japan. She switched over to NASCAR, where she ran 189 starts with a top finish of 6th at the Atlanta Motor Speedway a handful of years ago. But here's the trick. I still find it completely baffling that a pretty young lady like she is cannot come up with the funding, especially with the kind of talent she's had. She definitely hasn't had the finishes in NASCAR that I guarantee she wanted, or that a lot of people expected. But still, I would have thought that she could have easily get funding well into her 40s. So I'm kind of surprised. Her racing career isn't completely over. She does have funding to do the Daytona 500 in February in Daytona Beach, Florida, and she's also trying to make a run at the Indianapolis 500 in the month of May in 2018, where she hopes to be her last race and hang up her helmet for good, which I have to say is kind of sad. Even though we did have a little bit of a run in, me and Miss Patrick, back in the old MySpace days, which will show you how long ago this was. She did get the upper hand in that deal, though, at least in the end. So I have to say I'm kind of sad to see her go, but it is that sign of that times. Once you can't find funding, it is hard to get a race ride in this modern day world. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Don't forget to like us over on the Facebook page. Links down in the show notes. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time. Get the first dibs on the brand new shows soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.